Fine. Yeah. Yeah. I'll share this sheet with you. There's a question being asked. Can we have this sheet? Yes. You can down. You can look at the course syllabus at this location. I will give you the Google Drive location on the chat. Right. You can have a look at this course syllabus day by day. Topics what all will be covering. Another question being asked is, what do you mean by a framework? Okay. Fine. This is something which is being asked right now. Okay, I'll just tell you in a nutshell. Look, what is the objective of this course? What is the goal of this course we are doing? Okay, the basic goal is that you should be able to build a framework. Okay, what is a framework? Look, when you work in a company, right, you build test cases in Selenium, right? These are your test cases. Fine. This is a test case 1. This is a test case 2. Right. Test case 3 and test case 4. Suppose these are automation scripts, different test cases. Now you want to run them one by one serially. Okay. Sometimes you would want that you don't want to execute certain test. After one test, you want to skip the other one and run, say TC3 and then TC4. Apart from this, you need to generate reports. This is important. You need to generate reports. The reports should be having logs. Reports should be having screenshots. Okay, what do you mean by, hold on Rama, I'll answer your question. Hold on. What do you mean by reports, logs, screenshots? Look, a proper HTML report should be formed which should have logs of like what happened at each and every moment when the script was running, and if something fails, then you should have the screenshots of the failures in your reports. For example, I'll just show you one report over here. This is a sample extent report. Fine. Okay. So it's got every test case mentioned. If some test case is running, it will tell you that what happened. It is opening the browser, it is navigating to this website. Okay, it will give you each and every information, and if some exception or error happens, it also has the screenshot of that in the reports. Okay, right. And if you look at this representation, you have a proper pie chart representation of the reports and of the test cases which executed, which how many failed, how many passed, right? And you have the detailed log for every test case. Okay, so you mean I mean reports like these. We'll see how to make them. Apart from this, you have the requirement that the data which you are reading for a test case, for example, you are building a test case and registering on a website. Okay, the data should be read from Excel file or properties file or an XML file. All right. So how do you coordinate between all these things? Because if you look at Selenium as a tool, which we are going to use, Selenium as a tool is only inside this red box. Selenium can only help you to implement your test cases. Okay, right. Right. So what we need is that we need a centralized controller. We will be using a centralized controller. This centralized controller generally, like it's people use test ng, or they will use JUnit, or there are other things like BDD cucumber, okay, JBehave. So what these centralized controllers they do is that they will read the data from some file, they will call the test cases in a certain order, If you want to skip the test cases, you can skip. They will pass over this data to these test cases, right? And when the test case runs, you can see the reports also being generated by them. Okay, so this is just an overview that how practically stuff works and what you need to do. In this course, we will be studying all these things. Cucumber, if look, if people ask me, then I'll cover it. Otherwise, in the pre-recorded videos which we have, Cucumber is covered in those videos. It is covered. Okay, the pre-recorded set of videos which we give you. All these things are covered in that. Okay, right. So now, moving ahead, this is just an overview of what this project or framework is. Now there are different types of frameworks: data driven, keyword, page object model. Okay, so we will see them, we will look at them in this training, right? So now this is just a brief introduction, course FAQs. If anybody has any questions, you can ask me, right? Now, what is a brief history of Selenium and what is the future? Okay, look, I've been working on Selenium since 10 years and more than 10 years, and I've been looking at it changing at a very phenomenal rate. Okay, I'll just tell you how it evolved over a period of time and where it is going, and you know what you can get or what is the advantage of learning this tool. Alright, look, initially way back in 2007-8, we had three components in this tool. Okay, one is known as Selenium RC. Okay, one is known as IDE, it's still there, and GRID. Okay, right. Now, if you talk about Selenium IDE, most of the people must be knowing about it. I'll just tell you, it's primarily a record and run tool. Record and run feature is there in every automation tool. Okay, but it only works on Mozilla, and it will generate you no reports. Okay, if you have a website of one page and you just want to test it temporarily, you can do that. But if you have 1000 test cases which have to be implemented, you cannot use IDE. So people used to use Selenium RC, which worked on multiple browsers, and it was available in multiple languages. Multiple languages means you had to write code in Selenium RC, and you could write code in, you can say, in Java, in C Sharp, in Ruby, Python, right? So there were multiple languages available, multiple browsers. Only thing was that tester had to write the code. Grid was something which could run your test cases parallelly to, you know, to reduce the execution time. Okay, right. You made a central machine and you connected various other machines to this central machine, right? And you executed the test cases parallelly. Now, Selenium RC had various drawbacks, and what happened was that in 2011 August, we came up with the tool WebDriver. It was also known as Selenium 2.0. It could also work on multiple browsers, multiple languages, but there were various drawbacks of RC. Okay, right, and which, you know, which had to be removed. Okay, right. So they removed it in WebDriver, and Grid also came up, and Grid is now, or Grid came up, and Grid was called Grid 2. Selenium IDE is still there in the market. Okay, nobody uses it, but okay, this whole happened in August 2011, right? And what happened was, now last year 2017, sorry, 2016, we came up with WebDriver 3.0. Okay, but 3.0 is right now unstable. I will show you in the training. You will yourself realize it. There are a lot of problems, and those problems are being rectified. Okay, if you look at the official website of Selenium, which is seleniumhq.org, right? And if you go to the download section, right, if you look at this change log over here, okay, if you look at this change log, right, over here, you see if you scroll down, this has got the changes, whatever changes have been done in Selenium since the very beginning. Okay, the final 2.x release was 2.53. After that 3.0 came up. But still 3.0 has got lot of defects that are being fixed. When we work in this training, we will see those problems. Okay, right now the current version is 3.3.1, but as per me it is little unstable. Okay, right. So what we will do in this training, we will look at both the versions, but there is no major difference. If you're a learner, okay, then it's fine. Right, you can work on any, you can also work on 2.2. Right, it doesn't really make a difference. Fine, so this is how Selenium has evolved over a period of time. Now, where is this tool going and how is it good for you? Look, Selenium requires Java. You end up learning Java in this tool. Right, it is for, web application testing. Selenium is a tool which can only be used for web application testing. But if you learn this tool and tomorrow if you want to learn other tools like SOAP-UI, which is for web services, okay, or you want to learn Appium, okay, Appium tool is for mobile automation. Okay, right. Or you want to learn JMeter, which is a load testing tool, or load runner, right? Or any other tool. Then learning all these tools, it also becomes easy because you get a knack in programming language. Okay, once you have a knack, once you have a control in programming languages, then learning other tools also becomes really easy. Okay, right? Fine. So, anybody with any questions, please let me know. Alright, so that is what I am telling you. There is an initial hitch in learning Java and Selenium, but learning other tools, it really becomes easy over a period of time. Right, now, how to learn Selenium? To learn Selenium, first thing is that you have to learn Java. Okay, if you go to this page, the download page again, there is a link for Java docs over here. If you open this Java docs link, you will see the documentation of Selenium. Okay, you will not be able to understand anything if you don't know Java. If you don't know the concepts of object oriented programming in Java, right, then you cannot proceed ahead. So that will be our main focus. We'll be starting off with the concepts of OOPS very soon, right? So there are people over here who would be knowing Selenium, who would be knowing about object-oriented programming, but I'm going from the very beginning because there are people over here who don't have a much background, right? Fine. So now the first thing is that you have to install JDK. Okay, you have to go to Google and type download JDK. Okay, and you can go to the first link. It is the complete Java development kit. You can go to this download section over here and you can select your operating system. This is 32-bit, this is 64-bit Windows. For Mac also or Linux, you can download the exe file. You'll have to accept the license agreement and you need to download and install it. Right, once you install it, the second thing is you need Eclipse. So you can go to Google and type download Eclipse is the editor for Java language. Will be almost everybody must be knowing about it. Just I'm telling you, right? So you can simply download Eclipse. Selenium WebDriver. Okay, there's a question being asked that is Selenium WebDriver updated version of RC? No. Look, I'll tell you what happened was that there was a migration from RC to WebDriver, the complete tool changed. You could directly learn WebDriver without learning RC. After learning WebDriver, if you look at the RC code, you will never be able to understand. Okay, right? So there was a change, a massive change. But from Selenium 2.0 to 3.0, there has been few changes in 2.0 which have been done, which have been incorporated in 3.0. Okay, right. So this is the thing, right? Now, as I was saying, you can download Eclipse. You can go to the first link, Neon, Eclipse, Eclipse Luna, Eclipse Mars. You can download any version. Okay, for your operating system, you can download it from here. Okay, once you download Eclipse and extract it, it comes as a bundle. Fine. You can go to, like for example, my PC. Eclipse is over here. You open Eclipse and you can directly start it by running the application file. Okay, there is no exe, you don't need to install it. Right. So out here, this is when you start Eclipse, this is the workspace path. You need to select the place where you will be storing the complete code. Okay, I'll name my workspace as Selenium weekday 2017 April. Okay, so whatever code will be stored under this path. Alright, so let Eclipse start. Fine, hold on, let it start. So all the coding we'll be doing in Eclipse. Right. This is the welcome screen, and out here you can close this welcome screen. Okay, so you'll get a project explorer over here. So you can make a new project in Eclipse, a new Java project. You can go to file, new, and go to other. Fine. And under you can say, if you scroll down, right, you will see Java option and you can select the Java project. Fine. And next and finish. Most of you must be knowing about it. This is the day one. I have to start from the very basics. So you can give your project name as day one over here and simply finish it off. So you will see a project being formed. Yes, and just a minute. Right. So out here, this is the project, Java project, and if you expand it, you will see a source folder in which we'll be keeping the Java files and JRE system library. Okay, this is nothing but JDK which was installed on your PC. Without JDK, okay, this is not going to work. Okay, right. So if you right click on the project, you will get lot of options. One of the options is properties. Okay, If you go to the properties option, you will see various options over here which we will be using in the training. Under the resource option, you can see the path of the project on the hard drive as well. Okay, right? If you open this, you will see all these folders, out of which source folder is available in Eclipse. Okay, dot project, dot class path, these are Eclipse files. You don't need to actually change them, just let them be like that. Okay, the source folder is the main folder in which all the coding will be done. So I'll just make a new under the source folder. I'll right click on the source folder and create a new class. New class means a Java file, and I'll just call it as sample or basics of Java. Okay, select the option public static void main over here, this checkbox, and finish. Right. So you will have this. Hold on, let me increase my font size. Just 1 minute. Yeah, I hope it will be better. Fine. So this is a public class basics of Java, and this is the main function. What is static? What is public? Okay, you will come to know about all these things as we proceed with the course. Right. So, right. I hope you're able to understand. Right. So once we learn the object-oriented programming, you'll come to know about this. Right. Main function is there in every programming language. Okay. If you talk about C or C sharp, anything. Right. So you will get the main function. Okay. Right. So in Java, if you have to print something, you can write system.out.println. I can simply write hello Java. System.out.println is the command to print something in Java. The shortcut is syso, then hit control spacebar. If you hit control spacebar, you will get this. You can run this program through this run button on the top. When you run it, you will see the output at the bottom. Right. So fine, if you look at this, hello Java will be printed. You can also right click on this file and say run as Java application, and this will be executing as a Java application. Fine. Okay. Now I am assuming in this training, look, I am assuming that you know at least the basics of programming. Okay, you know what an integer is. If I write int I equals to 100, integer can store numbers. You know what string is. Okay, right? You know what a for loop is. You know what an if statement is. Basics. Okay, you know what boolean is. Boolean is something which can store true or false values. Right. If you don't know these things, then I would not recommend you to join the training directly. As I told you, you can get the access to the videos, watch them, get some background and join it. Today is the first class. Okay, so I don't want to make it too complicated for you, so just I'm telling you. Now, if I run this file, I get the output at the bottom. If you go to the location of your project under the source folder, you will be able to see the basics of Java. You can open this in Notepad as well. Okay. Now if you go to the bin folder, okay, if you go to the bin folder, under the bin folder you will see a class file. This is the class file. You will not be able to understand anything in it. It's more or less a machine language. Okay, but every Java file is converted to a class file. If I make a new Java file as well, I'll make a new Java file, say sample.java. Okay, inside it I will just print object oriented programming, and when I run it, it will print learning hoops. And if I go to the bin folder, you will see sample.class file generated. Every Java file is converted to a class file. Okay, and this class file is like an executable file. Okay, for example, if client is there, if client asks that fine, do the deployment on the server or give me the project, so we deliver these class files to the client. Okay, now what happens is that in a project at times there becomes number of Java files. These are just 2 Java files, but when we work on a project, what happens is that you have lot of class files and you have to give these class files to the client. So what we do is that we actually put all these class files in a single file. That file is known as a jar file and we give it to the client. Okay, right. For example, I'll tell you, for example, if you look at Eclipse, let me open Eclipse. Right, this is JRE system library. This JRE system library is nothing but it's got many jar files inside it. These jar files, they came in your PC when you installed Java. These jar files are given by people who made Java. Okay, right. So just a minute. Okay, there's somebody else asking. Hold on. Right. I'm sorry. Right. So these jar files, okay, these jar files, they cover pre-made functionalities. For example, if I just write over here system.out.println new date. Okay, very simple example. What is new over here? Don't get confused. I am just using one of the class files which is present inside the jar files, that is the date class file. I have to import it. Okay, you will have to import it. Hold on. So I have imported it on the top from one of the jar files, and when I run this program, it prints the current date, time zone, year, okay, everything. Alright, fine. So it prints everything, it gives you the complete information and you don't have to do the hard work. Okay, right. Now out here if you look at Selenium, then Selenium is nothing, Selenium is not installed. Selenium has also got its own set of jar files which you can use. You can use the classes in those jar files. Okay, if you go to the official website of Selenium and go under the download section. Okay, right, if you look at this Java 3.3.1 version, if you click on the download link, you can save the file, it will get downloaded on your PC. Okay, now this is nothing but the zip file will be containing the jar files of Selenium. Okay, whosoever made Selenium gave us these jar files. Alright, so yes, I have not completely answered on what Selenium functionalities. I will be telling you, I cannot just tell you in one class. I will be telling about Selenium 3 and I'll tell you about Selenium 2, and then you will yourself come to know that Selenium 3 has got a lot of issues. Okay, right now I have downloaded the jar files of Selenium 3. If you want to check the features of Selenium 3, you can go to this Java docs link. Over here they have this complete documentation, but you cannot read this documentation like that. Okay, you will have to have the concept of object oriented programming, right? Just a minute. This is the jar file. So this is the jar file for Selenium, the zip file for Selenium Java 3.3.1. Okay, right. And the stablest version is Selenium Java 2.53. Okay, you extract these jar files. Okay, you extract these jar files and you will have, hold on, this folder. In this folder, you will have this main jar file. If you open the folder after extracting, this is the main jar file for Selenium. And under the library folder, if you open the library folder, you will see many other jar files. So you need to import these jar files into Eclipse to make your project Selenium enabled. Okay, right, fine. So what you need to do is that you need to go to Eclipse. Eclipse by default will have the Java jar files, the features of Java. But if you want to include the features of Selenium, you have to include these jar files, which are given by Selenium guys. Okay, you need to right click on the project, and on the project you need to right click. You will see the properties option at the bottom and go to Java build path, the third option from the top. Okay, if you go to Java build path, you will see various tabs: source, project, libraries and all. Okay, go to the library tab, you will see the Java library already added, and you can click on the button add external jars and add the jar files of Selenium. Okay, you click on this, go to the path where you have downloaded the Selenium jars. Okay, right, fine. Um, and you import the main jar file and you import the ones in the lib folder. Okay, right, and then you will see a reference library section generated. Okay, right, and right, so you see that this reference library section, if you expand this, okay, right, if you expand this, hold on just a minute, my Eclipse has hanged. Yeah, if you expand this, you will see all the jar files. Now the main thing is that you need to know the features in these jar files, you need to know the functionalities in these jar files, and that can only be done from the Java documentation. And to study the Java documentation, you need to study, okay, you need to study the concepts of object oriented programming, and that's what I'm going to discuss with you tomorrow. Okay, right, fine. So I hope you are able to understand today's lecture, and it was a very basic one, a very introductory one. Most of you must be knowing about these things. People who have paid for the training, I think you must have got the user ID and all. Okay,